What's going on, everyone? We hope you all are ready for an exciting week in the market as the S&P 500 and stocks across the board are starting to move in some pretty big ways, and big moves mean some big opportunities. Looking at the heat map from Friday, 84% of stocks in the S&P 500 closed down in the red. It was a pretty bloody day. And looking at the heat map on a weekly, you could say, basis, we could see we have some big tech stocks moving in some very serious ways as Nvidia fell by 14% last week and lost over $406 billion in market cap. There are some serious things happening in the stock market right now, like this recent sell-off. We have new additions to the S&P 500. Roaring Kitty is back with GameStop. We have more exciting earnings on the lineup, and we have crucial inflation data set to release this week. We have a lot to talk about, and there should be a lot of great opportunities for the week, so I hope you guys are as excited as we are. And besides that, Tom, let's jump right into it.
Yeah, it was a pretty bloody week overall, Mike. Whenever you see Nvidia down 14% on the week and other big tech stocks like AVGO, Apple, and Microsoft also down, it's never the best sign, right? AVGO was one of the pretty bad ones from Friday, falling down 10%. But just going back to the heat map for 1 second, I have to admire this, right? Because the downside movement on Friday was seriously no joke, and those big tech stocks, like we've been talking about, Mike, played the biggest role, we'll say, in the collapse. But also, the financial sector was pretty bad. Even the oil stocks, and oil continues to drop with some news as well. So there's just a lot of stuff right now hitting the market, Mike, and so far that double top on SPY is starting to hold up in a pretty good way, as we can tell here. You can see how the SPY was consolidating so much up at the top around those key levels, and now we're seeing a pretty good confirmation back to the downside here. So it's going to be an awesome week here in the stock market, Mike. And I'll say this, while a lot of stocks were down Friday, we saw one stock, Palantir, shooting up in after hours Friday. So, hey, the Palantir shareholders are happy right now.
Oh yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about this. Palantir and also Dell just got welcomed in to the S&P 500, which was really great to see. As a long-term shareholder of Palantir, obviously I love to see this news, and this is great for many reasons. So that's good, and I know many Palantir shareholders across the world were happy to see this news release on Friday. But basically, Dell and Palantir took the place of Etsy and American Airlines. So they got the boot, but looking at Dell and Palantir for this week, make sure to keep them close on watch because, as Tom pointed out, Palantir is already moving in a momentum-filled way, and Dell is doing the same thing. So what we see from time to time is when companies get added to the S&P 500, especially if they have some hype to them, just like Palantir does, they can definitely get a big short-term boost as people, buy into the stock in a, optimistic way. So either way, keep a close eye on Palantir. It definitely has some good momentum from Friday.
Yeah, it definitely does. And looking at the chart of Palantir a little bit more, and I hate not to give Dell some love too, but let's all be honest here. Which one's more popular out of those two, right? By far and beyond with Palantir, at least in my book. But Palantir's at highs of the year, actually. If we go to the daily chart, in after hours, they are kind of testing that high of the year up around $33. So that'll be a pretty big thing to keep an eye on this week. If they could get a clear extension up and through that resistance, it would be pretty amazing. And, with this stock, Mike, like if we open up Monday morning and we have a nice gap up above that 33 mark, we might be able to see a lot of buyers rush into this at open. I'm curious, though, how big the pre-market move is going to be, right? Like, if we end up gapping up too much, it could end up being one of those plays that, scares traders a little bit in the short term. But in that article, they actually started mentioning SMCI, which is a pretty big tech stock that also got added to the S&P 500 earlier this year. And I know a lot of people are probably going to be thinking like, wow, this is great news. I'm going to buy Palantir and Dell right now. And while these stocks might be still at a good time to buy, I just want to show you guys, guys, SMCI has been falling pretty much ever since they got added to the S&P, which is pretty insane. So the rumor started kind of like around the beginning of March, and that kind of pushed them up a little bit. And then like pretty much when they got added, it was pretty much the all-time high. So I don't know, it doesn't necessarily mean though that the stocks are going to run, but it definitely does have some good implications as there's going to be a lot more volume and buying overall with these stocks as funds and etc. acquire more shares.
Exactly. Like the more attention that the stocks have, the more, I guess you could say, good short-term price action that they can have. But as always, it's important to be adaptable and not truly fall into, or I guess you could say, like, get too caught up in any directional thesis. While Palantir is moving in a great way in after hours, the stock market is also in the process of getting shredded. So that does not help. But either way, keep Palantir close on watch for the week. But another stock that was showing some really good price action on Friday is GameStop. And Tom, believe it or not, Roaring Kitty is back. So for those of you who don't know, Roaring Kitty, he has a lot of history to him, but to give a nice summary, he played a big role in the GameStop mega short squeeze a couple years back. He started to come back to X or Twitter this past year, and he on June 27th, he essentially posted this dog picture, which, believe it or not, signified to the investing world that he is long Chewy to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. And you could see the same dog picture is now shown being displayed in a way like, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. So with that being said, a lot of people took this as deep value, where Roaring Kitty is out of Chewy and now back into GameStop. So I know this is like a pretty wild, dramatic investing situation, but that's why GameStop's moving. GameStop is one of those unique stocks where, like, as soon as people, see like optimistic things about it or have like any short squeeze news / potential, it can move in a crazy way, as we can just see by looking at its historical chart. But either way, we wanted to point this out ahead of time, not only because, this is the first time Roaring Kitty tweeted recently, but also, guess who reports earnings this week? GameStop. So basically, GameStop does report earnings on Tuesday, so keep this close on watch. And Tom, as we can see by this week's lineup, there are a handful of other stocks that are, I guess you could say, worth keeping in mind, but I will also say the economic schedule is a lot more exciting than the earnings lineup for the week.
Yeah, it really is. I do like Oracle on Monday and after hours. That'll be a pretty big report, and Adobe on Thursday. But besides that, I mean, really, it's just a lot of smaller stocks mixed in here with GameStop there. Of course, that's going to be a big one. But like you said, the economic schedule is a lot more important, especially on Wednesday. There's not too much on Monday or Tuesday, but once we get to Wednesday and Thursday, we're going to be having the core CPI, the CPI data come out, as well as the inflation rate, the core inflation rate, and etc. So that'll be huge. We're going to get the big inflation data dropping on Wednesday. Then Thursday, there's some PPI data coming out, as well as the initial jobless claims. So around the end of the week, we're going to get a lot more data. We had a few data points last week, and the SPY did move quite a bit off of those data points. And, we keep looking at the chances of the Federal Reserve cutting rates in September. Right now, they're pricing in a 70% chance of a 25 basis point rate cut. I know last week when we looked, they were pricing in a higher chance of a 50 basis point rate cut, but it seems like it's swinging more towards the 25% side, at least for now.
And the main reason this is important is because the Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates for a while now, and they're finally to the point where they're looking to reverse that and start to lower interest rates to start to spur economic activity again. The main concern of the Federal Reserve over the past couple of years was that I word, inflation, and it has gotten to the point where the Federal Reserve is, getting a lot more comfortable with the idea of cutting rates to, again, like spur the economic growth that, everyone wants to see. What's crazy to think, Tom, is we are actually set for our first rate cut in a while next week, September 18th. So it's definitely going to be pretty exciting, and definitely keep this whole situation on your radar, because it'll be a big turning point for the market, because these, sort of pivots are very important, and, they don't happen too often, but they play a very big role, not only in just like the stock market, but also just like the world economy. So it's going to be very important there. And inflation data is strongly connected to the way in which the Federal Reserve manages the economic policy and situation. So definitely keep this in mind. And then we could also see, looking at the economic schedule, we do have some PPI data on Thursday, and then some consumer sentiment data on Friday. But besides that, as we look at, let's say, the S&P 500 right now, I guess you could say, without even saying, there's been a good amount of profit taking lately, and this isn't all that surprising, as we've been saying for however many weeks now, or actually a lot longer than that September is historically a very bad time of the year for the market, especially the second half of September. But Tom, it looks like we've been seeing people front run that second half historical sell-off, and we're getting started early with a bearish September soon this year.
Yeah, we definitely are. And, looking at the historical data, we're at like the 8th of September now. As we start to get towards like the 10th through like the 16th to 18th, there's actually a slight little uptrend there historically. So I will be a little bit wary this week. We did see a great sell-off last week, and I think people are definitely kind of front-running September right now, especially with the SPY at that double top. It's like the perfect time, right? Who doesn't want to get out at the all-time high? Why not? It's a good place to do it. But I know that, going back to the Federal Reserve situation and rate cuts, people were really buying up the market there in anticipation of these cuts happening. I don't know, Mike, seems kind of like a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event to me.
Yeah, so either way, as we look at the market right now, it's important to understand that September, historically speaking, is the most bearish month of the year, and this is only intensified in election years as people just, they look to, de-risk a little bit ahead of like crucial events. So definitely keep that in mind. Normally the second half is worse than the first, but again, we're getting started early this year. But as we look at SPY, Tom, what are the key levels to watch in both directions, and what are some other things we should, I guess you could say, pay attention to with the current SPY chart?
Yeah, so right now, SPY actually got to a pretty good spot on the chart from Friday. 537 to 539 ended up being an amazing support. You can see right here, there's a couple good bounces right around that area. So I've been watching 538 a lot underneath 540. So that's kind of what I was waiting for there on Friday. We ended up getting there, but obviously, right around the end of the day. So if we see like a clear breakdown of this area on Monday, that'll be where I start to look to go a little bit more, be a little bit more bearish, right? We saw this happen last week on a lot of major supports like 550, 555, and etc. Once some of these areas broke down, we started to see some really good price action. Even Friday, as 545 broke, that was pretty fun when the market opened. But that's really what I'm looking for, Mike, as far as like big supports underneath there. 535 even will be the next major level that I'm looking for coming up, and then underneath that 532 will be next. But that's really what I'm looking at there to the downside. I don't really see the SPY falling down much more than that on Monday. Maybe watch 530 after that if we do. But those are kind of the levels I'm watching for. Of course, 546 and 550 are going to act as pretty good resistances, as those were the big supports that kind of gave out last week.
All right, sounds great there. And besides that, Tom, I think we are all set to get into the fun stuff for today's video, which are some setups and predictions. A stock I'm still watching very closely is Netflix, and it is in a bearish way. We talked about this one so much in like the last week's videos, but also the weeks before that. But anyways, as we look at Netflix, it is continuing to be looked at in a bearish way, as there is some heavy resistance overhead, especially at the major psychological level of $700. On top of that, the market, as we know, is weakening quite a bit, and we are in a historically bearish time of the year. Netflix is having some pretty weak price action, and I'm loving these continuous lower highs, as it shows that the bears are really in control. So either way, Netflix is still on my bearish radar going forward, and assuming that the market stays like pretty weak and bearish, I'm telling you, like, I really wouldn't be surprised if we saw a retest of like the 640 level at some point like this week, depending on how the S&P 500 develops. But either way, this stock's definitely on my watch.
Yeah, and even just like from a charting standpoint, 640 isn't really that far away. I know a lot of people will be like, "Wow, that's a pretty bold projection there," but that's it's really not that far. Like if we just move a little bit, like we did last week, Netflix will be there, no problem. I love that move from Friday, following that dead cat bounce last week, Mike. That was a pretty awesome sell-off. I know you mentioned that one quite a bit. With my first play, I'm looking at ARM to the downside. They are nearing a pretty good support around 115. If I see a clear break under that, I will continue watching them down. The thing that I really like with ARM is that it's been falling under key supports, and those supports will now act as pretty good resistance. So, I'm going to throw resistance in the short term around 123 to 124. So I don't really think that we'll see a pullback back above there or anything unless we see like a market-wide recovery. But I'm really watching for that continued bearish price action. I really want to see 115 break before I even think about ARM to the downside.
All right, sounds great. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Zoom, and it is actually in a bullish way. Zoom has had a great past couple of weeks, especially after it reported earnings, but it has pulled back alongside the rest of the market over the past week. Again, Zoom, like in a little bit more of like a medium-term sense, is in a strong uptrend, and we are at the point where it has pulled back a decent amount. Assuming we see the market, hold its ground and start to bounce up, I think Zoom, I guess you could say, offers a unique opportunity in the sense that, right before this recent downtrend, it was one of like the strongest stocks in a very short-term sense, and it's pulled back to like a good amount where a very nice reward risk skew can be offered. For example, right now the stock is at $67 a share. Let's assume that, short-term level that is significant is $66 and let's say 50 cents. A stop loss can be placed just under there, where let's say a profit target can be placed, if you wanted to go a little bit more shorter term, you could do up to like that $70 resistance. But if you wanted to get, like, I guess you could say push the trade a little bit more, you can put that profit target to the like short-term highs right above like that $72.25 area. The main thing is that it offers a phenomenal reward to risk skew that I personally like on a stock that has showed a lot of strong short-term momentum. But again, this setup is truly only good assuming we see the market like hold strong. But again, I wanted to add this to the list in video because, even though there are some great downside opportunities shaping up, it's also important to have, I guess you could say, like some backup setups in the event the market does strengthen a lot this week.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that, Mike. It's always important to, continue to adapt, right? And if we do see the market end up having a nice pop back to the upside, this will be an awesome one to watch. It's actually right on one of these supports I've had on the chart for a while here as well. With my next setup, I'm looking at Meta and SQQQ. You might go, Tom, that sounds confusing. How? but essentially, I'm still looking at SQQQ because we keep seeing such great price action to the downside. And on Friday, we saw a great pop of 8% out of the SQQQ. I know I talked about this one quite a bit last week. And once we see the market flushing, SQQQ can have some amazing runs. So just keep it on the radar. But I'm also watching Meta very closely here. It's at a crucial psychological level, Mike. We keep talking about $700 on Netflix. Meta is actually at $500 now, which is pretty insane. They were quite a ways above 500 over the past couple months, but as you can see on the daily, they are starting to turn over quite a bit. And as we see $500 support give out, that's going to be a great thing to see. On the Bookmap Friday, 500 was huge, as you could imagine. These bigger psychological levels usually are amazing, and there's a lot of buyers and stuff stacked up there. So to see that give out as good as it did Friday is a great sign. So if Meta stays under 500, I'm going to continue to watch it to the downside, Mike. I thought that on the daily chart, the way that it turned over Friday was amazing, and it really just wiped out those couple of consolidation days from last week. So I'm looking for a nice bearish continuation, but we need to stay under 500. If we end up seeing the market recover, 500 might even act as a good support, but I don't know, Mike. The market's been a little too shaky for me for that.
No doubt. $500 is a crucial level for this stock, so definitely make sure to keep this stock and especially this level close on watch for the week. But besides that, Tom, let's jump right into today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have MU to the downside.
MU had a pretty bad day on Friday. If they end up breaking under 85.20, I'll continue to watch them down. There was like a quadruple bottom around that area Friday.
All right, with the next one, we have UAL to the upside.
You know, I don't know what's up with UAL, Mike, but it has moderate correlation to the SPY, which is good. You know, these airlines have a mind of their own, and UAL has been pretty hot in the short term. If they can get above 46.20, I'll keep watching them up.
Alrighty, and then with the last one, we have AMD for both directions.
Yeah, AMD was wild Friday as well. If they end up breaking under 132, then watch them down, maybe target that 130 support. If they end up re-breaking back above 135, then watch them back up.
Sounds good. So we have the upside level for a potential move higher. We have the downside level for a potential move lower. This is with AMD. Don't forget about the upside level with UAL and the downside level with MU. But either way, these three stocks are on watch for potential momentum style trades for tomorrow. If and only if they break through the levels Tom listed, the stronger and more consistent these stocks move, the better the setups become. If they don't break the levels listed, don't force the trades. But besides that, let's jump right into today's $1.4 million big money trade, and we are looking at ticker symbol ADI. So basically, ADI is another pretty big semiconductor company, and to, I guess you could say, add some important information to this, is that semiconductor stocks have been taking quite the hit in the short term as NVIDIA, AVGO, ARM, and many other, once loved, powerful chip companies were all the talk of the market. And by many metrics, they certainly still are, but they're definitely selling off quite a bit in the short term. ADI is no exception. And on Friday, the big money put, like I said, $1.4 million into the 230 strike put options that expire on October 18th of 2024. Looking at this setup right here, these put options are already in the money. They have some time to them, and the stock is making lower highs, and the market's selling off, and this industry is taking quite the hit. So it's definitely an exciting big money trade. But it's also, a high-priced option. This option is pretty deep in the money, which has its, benefits and drawbacks. It's nice because the option is high quality in the sense that the, extrinsic value or like the time premium associated with these options is relatively low, and it's just, mainly like, intrinsic quality options value that you're buying. At the same time, a play like this can do very well, especially if we continue to see the market sell off and we see chip stocks continue to weaken. But at the same time, this option also expires, in almost like a month and a half. So, it's more of like a medium-term play. And I also wouldn't be surprised if we got a better entry opportunity with this one, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like right now, with the way the market's flushing, it's like, it's kind of hard to continue to buy puts low like this, but just keep in mind that whenever the market goes on like these bigger downtrends like this, you can see some pretty exponential movement, especially in the short term. Like, I would not be surprised to see a continuation to the downside, but I'm also with you. I'm being a little wary in the short term of a possible time of consolidation or a possible pullback, right? We don't necessarily, I don't think that we're going to necessarily just continue to fall like this hard without having at least a couple green days mixed in. And we actually saw that last week, where on Tuesday we fell down quite hard, but then on Wednesday and Thursday we pretty much did nothing, right? Until finally flushing down again Friday, where that better movement came in. But I'm definitely going to have ADI on the radar, Mike. I love that it's in that tech sector that's selling off in more of an exponential way. And I think $200 could be a pretty decent target on this one if this selling pressure continues to be as exponential as it is.
No doubt. So either way, keep a close eye on this stock going forward. $1.4 million into one options trade is certainly nothing to ignore, but I am super excited for this week. We're seeing a lot of great price action, volatility, and movement across the entire market, which again equates to some pretty big opportunities. I know a lot of people tend to, get a little bit nervous in times of market sell-offs because it can be scary to look at stocks that you own sell off in a major trade your way. But, if you plan on owning those stocks for the long term anyways, which is the smartest move, then, short-term pullbacks are nothing to be scared of. They should actually be, looked forward to because they offer good buying opportunities, especially, in an important sense is to make sure that the stocks are at good valuations. But anyways, when we see periods of increasing volatility, a lot of opportunities are presented in so many different ways. Of course, there's a lot of money to be made by, you could say, playing the move down, whether it be through put options or other bearish positions. But, it's important to do that in a smart way. But also, sell-offs present great opportunities to, buy stocks that you've always wanted to own or own more of at good prices. So there should be a lot of exciting things coming up in the market soon, a lot of great opportunities. So it's important to trade in a smart, disciplined way. Let's make sure to follow the money, have stop losses, and just implement smart trading habits. That means more than anything else, certainly more than any one single independent trade. But if you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. We cover everything you have to know about the market in normally 20 to 25 minutes or less. So by subscribing, you'll know everything you have to know. You'll see big money trades as they come in and see charts that you would have never otherwise seen before, just like the seasonality one that we covered in today's video. So consider obliterating that subscribe button. But we also have to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Darth Bane in the StockedUp Discord that had some great profit screenshots to share on Friday with some SPY put options. So it was great to see a post like this one. Keep up the great work going forward and keep on rolling. If you guys are into short-term trading, definitely check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. Our sale on the StockedUp trading floor is ending today. So if you want in, now is the time. Basically, you get access to everything you would need for short-term trading, our custom bots, our live events. You could chat with Tom and myself all day long, access to multi-million-dollar big money trades every single day they come out before the market closes, chat with our exclusive community, and so much more, where if I explained everything, this video would be too long. So if you guys want in, definitely check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. Our 100K subscriber special coupon is ending today. You save huge with the yearly plan, so now is the time. And there was actually a phenomenal trade on Friday with our surge bot as well. We almost forgot to cover that. So looking at some of the, I guess you could say the alert from Friday with some Tesla put options, we had some 215 strike put options get alerted at $390 each, and this is definitely the strike of the day, and they popped all the way up to 891. So if you guys want to access our search bot and all of our other custom technology, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. But as we look at the market as a whole right now, it is an exciting time to be a trader. The market's moving in a very quick and crazy and big way, and big moves mean big opportunities. So it should be a great week, and there should be a lot of exciting action, not only this week, but even over these next couple of just months, especially given the election coming up. So besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's crush it in the market this week.